Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And we've started making our fairly aggressive efforts to rescue the Rockies in this first off season of ours here in Colorado. Made a number of significant changes this off season thus far through both free agency and the trade market. Don't think that we are anywhere near a 500 team after being 58 and 104 last year, but have definitely taken some steps to improve our team, particularly our pitching. We signed Alex Cobb and Clayton Kershaw, a couple of experienced veterans, to 1-year contracts to hopefully bolster our bullpen. And we also made a trade for Sandy Alcantara, who's essentially in the last year of his contract. He does have a team option for the season after this one, but at the dollar price it's at, I think we're very unlikely to exercise it. Also picked up the lefty reliever Gregory Soto, who should help our bullpen as well. Made a trade for Austin Wells to bring him on board. We had to trade away probably the best overall player on our major league roster in Ryan McMahon, but he was 30 years old, and not necessarily a big part of our future and making pretty decent money. And with the money we saved from trading away Mr. McMahon to get Wells, we signed Bo Bichette as a free agent. I think he can hopefully become a third baseman or a second baseman for us over the next few years. We're paying him around the neighborhood of what we were paying McMahon, a little more these first couple years and then a little less in the later year, or around the same amount in the later years of his contract. Viewed him in McMahon as a relatively even trade. Bichette a little bit younger, and we did get Wells by trading away McMahon, so I think it makes sense from that perspective. Certainly hasn't gotten rave reviews from the worldwide scouting department, although Sir Valerian likes the transaction. Rob Irvine Jr., James Miller Media, Alkshi, and Avery Shaham all are skeptical to, I'd say, definitely negative on that transaction. But at this point, it is what it is, and we'll have to deal with it going forward. We also did make a move to the front office, and this was a real team effort to get us here, from feedback on Bud Black being our manager over the last several episodes, from the likes of Nog Legs, Gilbert Gonzalez, and Patrick DeBonis. What we ended up doing was moving Bud Black to the assistant GM role. We're still going to be spending about $5.3 million on him over the next 4 years unless we fire him or he happens to retire. But we were able to promote our recently hired AAA manager, Toby Staveland, to become our manager at the major league level. 45-year-old who we can build and grow around, and he's also very economical for the next few years since he had a AAA contract, which will help offset some of the money that we're going to be wasting on Bud Black. Should have ultimately better relationships in the clubhouse and a lot less tension with Bud Black, who was not good with the personable personalities that we have all over our coaching staff. So hopefully it's a small move in the right direction, and thank everyone who gave us the input that led to that. Obviously, with the promotion of Staveland, we are looking to hire a new manager for AAA Albuquerque. And the primary focus in this episode is going to be continuing to pursue some free agents, getting through the Rule 5 draft, which is coming up in a few days, and then preparing for international amateur free agency signing period, which is just over a month away. When we get to the start of the IAFA period, we'll review the top prospects and finish off the episode and hopefully wait for some feedback from the worldwide scouting department on which direction we should possibly go. based on our initial look at this crew a couple of episodes ago, the GIMP is the leader in the clubhouse as far as what the worldwide scouting department was thinking of the pool, based on admittedly not the most accurate scouting reports in mid-October. Before we get into some continued discussion on additional free agent pitchers that we've made offers to as we try to build up our moribund pitching staff here, I want to highlight a couple of other suggestions we got. Dawson Landis suggested trying to trade for Thomas White, the 21-year-old who's a member of the Marlins organization, viewed as the number 32 prospect in baseball. Certainly looks like he could be a outstanding player. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone in our organization that the Marlins would trade for him straight up, so the price for him is unfortunately going to be too high. Also got a suggestion from Lions to perhaps pursue Luke Little from the Cubs. Love the extreme ground ball tendencies with outstanding stuff, outstanding movement on his pitches. The control definitely going to be an issue for him, but a great fastball and a great slider. Put up a 1.29 ERA, is a late season call-up for the Cubs last year. The price for him is not insurmountable, but still looking for one of the premier prospects or premier players in our organization to bring him on board. There's part of me that Alcantara, since he's only a one-year guy with us, would think about that. Part of me thinks Luis Robert Jr. Isn't likely going to be with us for the long term. And then I know there's also several of you who think we should be moving on from Ezekiel Tovar, who's actually in the development lab for us right now. I think there's probably a deal to be out there for Little where we pay a bit less, or at least don't have to give up one of these top guys in our organization, and maybe can give a couple of second-tier type players to bring him on board. Going to continue exploring that, like the idea from Lions, but right now I think the focus is going to be seeing what we can do in free agency and what we end up doing in the Rule 5 draft before we perhaps continue to pursue the trade market. And as I noted, we signed the lefty Soto to bolster our bullpen. There's three other pretty good relievers that we have made offers to, or at least relievers who we think could improve our team, even if they're not necessarily all that great. Devin Williams, certainly the premier one among them, looking for $12.2 million. All three of these guys have come back and said they want more money than we initially offered them. Tyler Rogers, right-hand ground ball tendencies, pretty good movement on his pitches and outstanding control. Also looking for more money. And last but not least, the potential former Yankee, Jonathan Loaizaga, is looking for more money as well. Fragile physically, 31 years old, but a ground ball pitcher who hits triple digits on the gun with really good movement on his pitches, certainly could help. Gotten a variety of different opinions on this crew from the worldwide scouting department. Blade staff suggests going after the cheaper two, which would certainly be Loaizaga and Rogers. Thinks he's okay with going after Devin Williams, as if we get him signed to a decent deal, probably somebody we could trade away, and I do agree with that assessment. Avery Sham, on the other hand, says don't do Devin Williams. But everyone has different opinions, as Andrew Gratton is fine with all three of them and ranks Williams number one on his list. Raymond Effinger, more in the Loaizaga and Devin Williams camp, a little less interested in Mr. Rogers. Alkshi, a different opinion. He says to go with Rogers and Williams and to leave Johnny Lasagna off the team. Stanley Rosella suggests Loizaga and Devin Williams, but he's also perfectly fine with us bringing on Rogers. And Paul West really likes the potential for us to add Rogers. So a lot of good feedback to think about there. If you gave me feedback and I didn't integrate it into this, it's probably because I'm recording this episode Thursday evening and you're probably giving me that feedback right now. So I apologize for that, but do appreciate all of the insight, guidance, and wisdom of the worldwide scouting department. But now it's time to see realistically what these three guys are now looking for. As noted, we had made an offer to Rogers for just $4 million for 1 year. Says he's got an offer from New York and now wants $5.1 million to join us for a season. Jonathan Loizaga, looking for 3 years at an average of about $6.4 million a year. Said that the Twins have made an offer to him. Seems like that could definitely work for us. And then Devin Williams, looking for the most money, 3 years at $12.2 million a season. We had offered him 3 years at $9.9 million a season with, I believe, some team options in them. So he's definitely looking for the most money of this crew. And even though he's the best pitcher, and he would likely have some trade value if he's performing well, realistically, we're not really competing for anything next year. I think of these three guys, the one that I am going to come back to first is Loizaga. Don't love that he's fragile physically, but I really like the ground ball tendencies. I really like the triple digits in his velocity, even though, interestingly, he doesn't have a fastball. And like his ability to keep the ball in the park. I'll try to offer him a little bit less than what he's looking for and see if maybe he'll take that offer back to his family. So Loizaga wanted $19.3 million over 3 years. We are willing to offer him $17.7 over 3 years. Team options for the second and third seasons to protect us a little bit, given his fragility. And he says he's willing to think about that. So we will get an offer out to him that's enhanced from the one that we previously made. This point, we are only a few days away from the Rule 5 draft. I think I may see who ultimately makes it into the Rule 5 before we potentially re-engage with either Devin Williams or Mr. Rogers. And Loizaga is back saying that he wants more money. And he's now looking for $7.3 million a year, $22 million over 3 seasons. At this point, with Loizaga being the middle in terms of the numbers he's looking for, I think we're going to do the barbell approach and make offers to the potential cheapest guy as well as the potential more expensive guy. Mr. Rogers still says he's looking for $5.1 million. We'll try to save a little bit, $4.8 million offer for 1 year to Tyler Rogers. And then we'll also see if we can put an offer out to Devin Williams that he might be more willing to consider, although he's looking for even more now, $13.8 million a year over 3 years. That probably pushes me back towards Loizaga. But again, we're only a couple days away from the Rule 5 draft. Got an offer out to Rogers. I think we'll just kind of hold tight with Williams and Loizaga and see if they're bluffing or not, or if someone gives them a big offer that they accept, we move on to the next guy. Not feeling a ton of pressure to sign any particular players, simply because not really expecting that ultimately we are going to be competing for much of anything next year. And we made it to the Rule 5 draft. We will have the first pick here, even though we did not do very well in the draft lottery that was held a few days ago at the beginning of the winter meetings, and we'll be picking 5th overall next year despite having the worst record in baseball. Quick high-level look at the draft pool here, looking at all the pitchers. Certainly some guys who at first glance look like they could be useful major league players. Somehow we got clicked onto the OSA. Little different looking crew when we have our scout doing it. The 3 highest regarded pitchers are all guys with some injuries going on right now. So that's going to make the decision a little bit more interesting. But certainly in the case of Bobby Miller, 26-year-old who throws in the triple digits and has a potential 5-pitch arsenal. You can tell that there's those organizations like the Dodgers that are loaded for a guy like Miller to just be available. Certainly I would think he could be on the short list of players for us to consider. Batter-wise, Austin Martin, 26-year-old infielder. Versatile defensively, pretty nice speed. Can kind of do everything except hit for power. And potential-wise, a couple of higher-end guys as well. According to our scout, the 23-year-old Jared Cerna out of the Marlins organization is the highest end player available. So certainly some interesting players that kind of highlighted just here in the very early stages of looking at the pool, but we'll spend a little more time offline investigating things before we make an actual decision. And our scout recommends a pitcher from the Dodgers organization with our first pick, not the one that we were talking about, though. 28-year-old, soon to be 29-year-old Michael Grove, out for another couple days, missed all of last season with shoulder surgery. Put up a 5.12 ERA back in 2024. Certainly looks like a solid major league pitcher, kind of a 5-inning type of guy if we wanted him as a starter or a right-handed arm out of the bullpen. Don't love the fly ball tendencies there, and also don't love that he's coming off of surgery. I think we're going to go with Bobby Miller. He'll be turning 27 years old right about the start of the new season, but really like that he hits triple digits. He's got average stamina, potential 5-pitch arsenal as we talked about, and we think his stuff, his movement and control could all be above average. Now, what I've seen in OOTP 26, and I know several of you have talked about this, and it's also been a popular topic on some of the OOTP forums, does seem like there are a fair amount of pitchers in this version of the game in their mid to late 20s who supposedly have a lot of untapped potential, and a lot of times it seems like it doesn't end up getting tapped, and they're a bit of a mirage in terms of their potential ratings at this age. But beggars can't be choosers, and I think that if there's any chance that he could be a potentially slightly above average major league pitcher, he's great value for us here with the first pick in the Rule 5 draft, and we are going to bring Bobby Miller into the organization, and we'll see what he looks like in spring training next year. And a pretty active first round in this Rule 5 draft. A lot of starting pitchers going. Christian Scott, who we had traded for from the Mets in our mini-series with the Los Angeles Angels a couple of months ago, goes in the Rule 5 draft. We didn't like him as much as Miller because of the potential upside that we see in Miller. And to be fair, Miller is listed as a reliever right now. If we go and we set his position to a starter, actually doesn't really change his potential ratings as much. Thought there might be a little bit more of an impact there, but fortunately doesn't seem to be the case. But we preferred Miller regardless. Emmett Sheehan went, Michael Grove, who our scout recommended, went, Austin Martin, the young infielder, went. Keston Hiura, who we had traded to the White Sox organization, was actually picked up by the Giants. So a lot of interesting guys off the board, but I think there may still be a chance for us to find another player or two before we finish up this Rule 5. And our scout recommends that we don't take anybody, but Jared Cerna, the infielder that I mentioned earlier, is still available. I got a little confused. I think I had looked at... Oh, actually, we did look at Austin Martin also, but I think we looked at Cerna as well. It's getting kind of pathetic that I can't remember things from the last half an hour since I started this episode. I don't know that Cerna makes our 26-man roster, but 65 infield range, the ability to play multiple positions, decent speed, and a bat that looks like it could certainly be usable at the major league level. Hit .333 when he made it up to AAA for 60 at-bats last year, although to be fair, he did hit only .240 in 246 AA at-bats. But don't mind bringing some more versatility into camp, and we will do that with the second baseman, Mr. Cerna. And I thought we might end up focusing more on pitchers in this Rule 5 draft, but with our third round pick, we're actually going to go with Drew Gilbert from the Mets organization. Solid defensively, pretty solid speed, left-handed hitting outfielder who looks like he can be a competent bat. Most interesting is that he looks like he can certainly handle right-handed pitching. Don't think it's guaranteed by any stretch that he makes our 26-man roster, but willing to bring him on board. Don't really love any of the other pitchers who are available, so this is going to be our third and final pick, and then I think we'll go back to the drawing board as far as some of the free agents. And with Devin Williams' request starting to really head towards true value on him, I think we're going to make one last play for Loizaga. Not going to offer him quite what he's looking for, but as long as we keep the team options for the second and third years of this contract, I'm not all that concerned about his injury history. Don't know whether this will get it done with him, but we'll get an offer out to him for potentially up to $20.7 million over 3 years. I don't know that I'll go much higher than that. And Tyler Rogers has come back looking for more money, says that the Mets are interested in him at $5.7 million for a 35-year-old. I'm not going to get into a bidding war with Steve Cohen. So we'll check back in. Still haven't heard back from Loizaga. Checking in on Devin Williams as to what he's thinking. The demands just keep going up to $14.2 million. I think we'll hold tight right now. We've added 3 pitchers in the free agent market who can help our major league team. We traded for Alcantara for a 4th pitcher who can help our major league team. And then we brought on another guy that we are constructive on in the Rule 5 draft. So we have already added 5 pitchers, and that's not even including Cam Schlittler, who we picked up in the trade with the Yankees with Austin Wells for Ryan McMahon. who's probably not quite ready for the majors, but on this team could certainly be competing for some playing time at the major league level next year. And there also are, as you can see here, plenty of other pitchers out there. Helsley, Iglesias, Chapman, Pete Fairbanks, Kenley Jansen. Michael King looks like the top starter that's still out there. A fair amount of these guys have fastball tendencies. Then we start getting into some guys with extreme fastball tendencies, Savale among them. But don't feel like we have to force anything, although we can argue that Rogers and Loizaga in particular have skill sets that might fit our park pretty well. There are plenty of fish in the sea. And we've been patient with another guy that many of you have been encouraging us to sign. You can see we've got a number of players signed to minor league contracts to hopefully bolster our AA and AAA teams. But we also have signed as a minor league free agent Takayuki Ryu, 33-year-old left-hander who came over from Japan this offseason. So certainly glad to have him in the organization with the flexibility of a minor league contract. Another guy who certainly could be competing to be on the major league roster in 2026. And as far as the more established major league free agents, still waiting to hear from Loizaga as to what he thinks of our offer. The shortstop from the Giants organization, Marco Luciano, still claims that he favors the offer that we made to him, but it's been crickets for a number of weeks now at this point on that offer. And we've made it to the evaluation phase of our projects in the development lab, and kind of interesting. We've got 4 guys who are excelling, but 4 guys who are frustrated or struggling at this point. So looking at the charts more deeply, Jamie Arnold, first-round pick from this past year, excelling with his improved control project, and Braden Nett on a similar program, also excelling. And then Ezekiel Tovar and Adele Amador, both excelling at their plate discipline projects. Drew Romo, frustrated with plate discipline. Charlie Condon, unfortunately, frustrated with his quality of contact program. Jack Bauer, frustrated with his improved control program, although he's not too far off from being at a decent spot. And Jaden Hill is really struggling with secondary pitch improvement. He has a very long way to go, it looks like, to get to where we want him to be. And very little movement as we head towards the end of December with the players that we've been looking at. Still nothing resolved with Luciano, Loizaga, Rogers, or Williams. Hopefully there will start to be some resolution as the calendar turns to 2026 and we get closer to the beginning of the IAFA signing period. And the calendar has turned to January, and one of those players has signed, not with us, but we didn't have an offer outstanding to him. He ended up looking like he tried to bluff us. He signed with the Mets for $4.96 million, so I believe we had actually offered him. Actually, we offered him $4.8, I believe, the last offer we made to him. So he did get a little more from the Mets, but not exactly what Tyler Rogers was looking for, I don't believe. And it ended up being a rough stretch for us as far as the free agents that we were looking at. Loizaga never gave us a response to the offer. He was sitting there pending for a long period of time and ended up signing with the Rangers for less money than we offered to him. Similar structure with team options for those final 2 seasons. Can't honestly be shocked that players aren't pitchers in particular aren't particularly interested in coming to play for a 58-win team that plays in Coors Field. Devin Williams also signed with St. Louis. Ended up being $12.5 million a year with a team option only after the third season. Some of the other free agent pitchers that I had mentioned earlier have also signed. Still certainly guys who could help us out there, but the pickings are getting slimmer quite quickly. Among the position players available, Cody Bellinger still on the market, looking for $27 million a year over 7 years, so that's not going to work for us. Arias, who we've talked about in previous episodes, still looking for around $23 million a year and wanting a 5-year contract. So I don't necessarily think that there's anything particular for us to do there. Still some interesting pitchers out there. Unfortunately, the two highest end pitchers, Dylan Cease and Kenley Jansen, both dealing with some pretty significant injuries. And we are going to make some offers here. Aldri Acosta, 26-year-old reliever with extreme ground ball tendencies. Not really ready for the majors. Don't know if he ever will be, but he's only appears to be looking for a minor league contract, so we'll certainly offer that to him. And although the ground baller, higher movement guys that we've thought about are off the market, I think there are still pitchers who could definitely help our team. Yosper Sanchez, 24-year-old, spent last year in Double-A Erie. Looks like he could be a useful-ish major league player. Potential 4-pitch arsenal, doesn't have the stamina to start, but we think he can throw in triple digits, have plus stuff, plus movement, close to average control. Only looking for $1.3 million, and it's not even a true major league contract. We'll offer him $1 million if he makes the team. Wants a bit more than that. We'll see if we can split the difference between the $1.3 million he'd want on the major league roster and the $1 million that we ordered him. For a guy who's unemployed and has never pitched above Double-A, even though he'll be 25 years old when the season gets underway, he seems to have a pretty high opinion of himself. $1.2 million if he makes it, though, seems to be something he will at least think about. And we're also going to make an offer to Hunter Harvey, just a respectable right-handed major league pitcher. Throws in the triple digits, neutral ground ball and fly ball tendencies, fragile in terms of his injury proneness. Don't necessarily think he's a big answer for us, and it looks like the Rangers have also made him an offer. I don't know that we want to go multiple years with him, but we'll offer him more guaranteed money than I think the Rangers have. He really wants a 2-year deal, and now he's looking for more money. If we could get him on our terms, I'd bring him on board, but definitely don't feel the need to chase a guy like that. And we probably should have been a little more aggressive around a guy like Luke Little when we were talking with the Cubs during the winter meetings, because you can see here the number of guys who can get a deal done straight up for Luke Little is much lower than it was just a matter of several weeks ago when we were at the start of the episode and in the winter meetings. Still may look if we can pull something together, but given what they are looking for, I don't necessarily feel optimistic that we'll be able to get anything done. And we've made it to the start of the international amateur free agent signing period. Still waiting for feedback from both Acosta and Mr. Sanchez. And if you are wondering, I realized I closed the loop on how we lost the relief pitchers, but we did get Marco Luciano signed to a minor league deal that does have a major league option on it. So if we don't promote him by early May, he is likely to perhaps consider going somewhere else. But I think he very well might be able to compete for a spot on our team. So I don't have any concerns at all. And actually, I'm pretty excited that we did end up getting him signed and able to bring him into camp to compete for a spot on our team. And we've got about a dozen players that we have been scouting more aggressively over these last few months. 8 of them are position players. We'll talk about them first. Shortstop Javier Gonzalez looks competent defensively with a potentially above-average bat for a middle infielder. Almost 17 years old, like the high work ethic. Mr. Gonzalez looking for $3.4 million, though, one of the bigger figures of anybody. And he also doesn't have quite the ceiling of a lot of these other guys, according to our scout. Felix Urena is a guy who we kind of got less interested in as we learned more about his personality with the low adaptability, work ethic, and baseball IQ. Competent defensively, but not a lot of speed. Think he's going to strike out a lot, even though he does good power. Left-handed hitting catcher, probably not a path that we're going to pursue. Right fielder Jonathan Pera, like the defense, like the speed, and like the contact and gap power combination from the left-handed hitting outfielder for Coors Field. Power in the eye, both pretty average. But of the players that we've talked about thus far, I think I probably am most interested in Pera. But there are still 5 very highly regarded players that we've got very high scouting accuracy on. First among them, second baseman Bobby Del Cid, like the high leadership and work ethic, pretty good speed, a bat that's average in terms of his contact, above average potentially at everything else. Not the most impressive defensive infielder in the world, extreme development risk, but you're going to see that with a fair amount of younger players. Third baseman Jorge Arias, another guy who not particularly impressive defensively. Think he's potentially got an absolutely world-class eye at the plate and potentially decent home run power. Center fielder Luis Guerrero, 16-year-old, going to struggle with the contact and the strikeouts, but the gap power, the home run power, and the eye are all potentially excellent to amazing for the 16-year-old switch hitter if he reaches his full potential. Decent speed, and looks like he'll ultimately probably be a corner outfielder. And the 2 highest end prospects, at least in terms of their potential, according to our scout, center fielder Francisco Santos. Really not a lot of holes in his game. Pretty solid range. Not the greatest speed in the world, but good instincts on the base paths. High work ethic, and a bat that potentially has above average contact, home run power, and batting eye. Last but not least, the left fielder Omar Salazar. Looks like a left fielder in terms of his ratings. Potentially outstanding home run power, an above average eye, and good durability for the 16-year-old. There's also 4 pitchers that we have spent a bit more time getting to know. Among them, actually there's 3 here that we have higher ratings on, but there's another one that we've been looking at more recently. Julio Loaizu is a guy that we scouted up from the beginning. Ultimately didn't like a lot of aspects of his personality, and his ceiling was not as high as we thought, and he had extreme development risk. So we have been paying a bit less attention to him more recently. Danny Moreno is a guy that we have scouted more recently. He is a reliever, most likely with 30 stamina and only 2 pitches, but think he could be a very good reliever, throw 100 miles an hour. Don't think we'll ultimately go for him given the amount of money he's looking for, given that there's two starting pitchers that we really like a lot with higher ceilings and similar-ish demands. One of those two is the 17-year-old Danny the Chief Baltazar, like the high adaptability and baseball IQ, really good stamina, average at holding on runners, think he can get his fastball up into the mid to high 90s, potential for a 4-pitch arsenal. Think the stuff and the control could be in the average-ish range with above-average movement on his pitches. Concern for the lefty is that he's fragile physically, already at the age of 17. And then last but certainly not least is Oscar Perez, the Gimp. Don't love the personality traits. He's going to want to get paid. Not very loyal. And he's also not the greatest leader and doesn't have the best work ethic. But the stamina and the holding runners are both more than acceptable. Ground baller who we think can hit triple digits with the radar gun. Think his stuff, his movement and control could all be above average to well above average. And if that sinker does develop along with the fastball and the cutter, could have a devastating 3-pitch arsenal of high-quality pitches. The Gimp is certainly the guy that I've been most interested in, at least when we first looked at this crew a couple of episodes ago. I don't love the negative personality traits that have come out as we've gotten to know him better, but he is still a left-handed pitcher with a very high ceiling if all goes well. If we're going to go with an arm, I think it's definitely going to be him, and we just offer him the full $4.75 million to start. But given the personality concerns, I can't say that I wouldn't consider one of the real high-end hitting prospects. Going to need to spend a little more time offline investigating them. I'll give you my initial reaction now, though. My two favorite position players are not going to be some that I know some of the worldwide scouting department may prefer. We've got a bunch of guys who struggle to make contact and are going to strike out a extreme amount of times. Bobby Del Cid with that potential 35 avoid strikeout ratings. A good example of that. Potentially great home run power for Bobby Del Cid. Similar profile for the third baseman Jorge Arias. And honestly, Luis Guerrero fits that profile as well. The two guys that I like the most are the right fielder Jonathan Pera. Like the defensive ability, like the speed, and like that potential well above average contact and gap power combination with decent power and a decent eye. And then the other guy on the short list for me is the center fielder Francisco Pinky Santos. Just a very clean prospect, high work ethic, only medium development risk. We've got very high scouting accuracy on him. Decent outfield range, certainly a more than competent corner outfielder who could play center field in a pinch. Good instincts and acceptable speed. And then we think the contact, the home run power, and the eye could all be a bit above average with average-ish gap power. So to me it comes down to Santos, Pera, or of course the Gimp. I think if I had to make the decision right this second, I would still lean towards the Gimp. We had a little bit of success with the Angels when we experimented with players with the types of personalities I just would never touch. And when we think about what we've done in this playthrough this year, Jamie Arnold is on track to improve his control. He's the guy that we picked 4th overall in the draft who has low leadership, low work ethic, high financial ambition, but it still looks like we may be able to get a successful result out of him working on his control in the development lab, and would hope that if we did end up pursuing someone like Oscar Perez, despite that low work ethic, we might be able to have some very successful trips to the development lab with him. But interested in hearing what the worldwide scouting department thinks. So if you have any thoughts on what we should do in the IAFA period, or if there's anyone among the free agents who are still left that is particularly intriguing to you, would love to hear that as well. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.